Hey guys, let's talk about timeboxing. So if you've just heard about timeboxing and you want to learn how to do it,
or if you tried it but gave up on it because it just wasn't working out,
then keep watching because we're going to share our top 12 timeboxing tips to help you supercharge your productivity. Let's go.
I'm Mike. Welcome back to our channel where we share tactical tips that are going to help you level up your small business. So if you want to take your business to the next level, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss a future video.
Hey guys, I'm Christy, and before we jump into talking about what timeboxing is and we share our top 12 tips for you, I want to take a quick poll. We'll put it right up here. Let us know, have you tried timeboxing before?
So really quickly, what is timeboxing? Timeboxing is when you take your task list, all the things you have to do, and you go to your calendar and you actually block off time to get all that stuff done.
Timeboxing is a technique used by many successful people, from Elon Musk, Bill Gates. I've used this technique for years and it helps me manage my insane workload. I 100% swear by it. But this technique takes time and practice. So this video is going to help fast track your way to becoming a timeboxing rock star.
And each of these 12 tips are critical to helping you be that rock star. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video so you don't miss a single tip. Tip number one is to try this just one day a week. A pitfall that we see a lot of people falling into is that they try and go all in with timeboxing too quickly. They want to structure their entire week around it, but it's a new concept and you're not good at it yet, so you're going to get frustrated and that's going to lead you to fail and you're going to give up on this amazing technique. So set yourself up for success and just practice one day a week until you start to get good at it.
So let's pick one day of the week and start blocking off the things we have to do. Now you can start by including your morning routine, totally up to you, but let's just look for the sake of this video at 9 to 5. I'm going to block in the types of things that I have to do today. So things like checking email, writing a blog post, taking my dog out. Now don't worry about getting this perfect, you're new, you just want to get used to estimating your time.
Tip two is to identify your top priority. A mistake a lot of people make is that they just take their to-do list and they just put that right onto their calendar. But you want to be more strategic than that. You want to ask yourself, what is the most important thing I have to do today? If nothing else gets done today, what will I be satisfied with accomplishing by the end of the day? And that is the first thing you should put into your calendar. And then you can time box the rest of your stuff around that.
So let's say that my top priority is to work on a blog post today. I'm going to take a 3-hour chunk of time and plug that into my calendar first to make sure that I have the biggest chunk of time devoted to that top priority. Then I'm going to start filling in the rest of my day with things like checking email, client work, whatever else needs to happen in the day. Tip number 3 is to block time for the types of tasks that you're going to do. So a mistake that first timers make when they're just learning timeboxing is they take their task list and they start plugging away every single itty bitty task that they have to do in their calendar. Don't make this mistake. It's so tedious and it's going to make you hate timeboxing. Instead, what you want to do is start blocking off chunks of time for the types of tasks that you do.
This tip is really going to help streamline your workday. You want to scan through your to-do list looking for those items that are similar and batching them all together into your calendar. For example, you might have a bunch of emails you have to send out to clients, or maybe you have a bunch of prospects to get back to. You want to send them out some example work, or maybe you have some clients you need to invoice and you want to get all that work batched together and do it at the same time. Phone calls, all these things that are similar, if you can batch them together on your calendar, it's going to make you more efficient throughout the day. Tip number 4 is to pick your most productive time of the day. You know, a lot of people fall into this trap of wanting to take their most important thing and just putting that first because they think that's the way you should plan your day. But if you're not a morning person, that could be a big mistake because you probably don't do your best work in the morning. You want to understand when you are most productive. When do you do your best work? You might be a morning person, but you might also be a night owl. If you're a night owl, you should take that most important thing and put that in the evening. Dan Pink wrote a really great book here, When, that details how to understand when your most productive time is, and you should figure that out so that you can be strategic when you're planning out your day.
I'm a morning person, so I'm going to look at my calendar and say, okay, well, if writing a blog post is my top priority for today, I'm going to put it in the morning, but I don't want to start it first thing in the morning because then I haven't had that caffeine kick in yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 15 minutes for checking email, a couple other little things I may have to do, and then maybe start writing my blog post at 10 o'clock so I'm a little bit more refreshed and ready to start working. And leave a comment below. Are you more an early bird or a night owl?
Tip 5 is to plan your breaks. A mistake a lot of people make is that they just fill up their calendar with all their to-dos back to back to back to back. But that does not work. We are not robots. We need some time in between those tasks to get ready for the next task, right? We have to context switch. So it's really hard to just work nonstop 9 to 5. You need to make sure that you schedule in breaks so you're constantly refreshing and getting ready to do the next task.
Exactly. We are human beings. We need time to go to the washroom, get up and stretch our legs, take a break to look out the window so that we're not straining our eyes. So when you're time boxing your day, give yourself 10 or 15 minute chunks of time in between your batch tasks to remind yourself to take a break. I promise you by doing this, you will then be able to approach the next task that you do with more energy and more focus so you actually deliver better work.
Tip number 6 is to add a buffer block of time to the end of your day. It can be really exciting when you're starting to use time boxing. You think you're going to be able to jam-pack your schedule and you're going to plow through all of that stuff, but inevitably that does not pan out. It doesn't leave any room for the unexpected, and believe me, there's going to be some unexpected things that crop up throughout your day. You're also maybe new to estimating your time, and it takes a lot of practice to get really good at accurately estimating your time. So if you just jam-pack your day and you're not great at estimating your time, you're inevitably not going to get through all the things you want to get through. So leaving a little bit of buffer at the end, an hour or two, and then planning around that allows you to absorb some of these things. Some unexpected things crop up, you can take some of that buffer time to deal with them. Things take longer than you expect, you use some of that buffer time to deal with that. And then that ensures that you can actually get the things done that you planned to get done. So set yourself up for success and leave a little bit of extra time at the end of your day.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block off at least 1 hour at the end of my day and just put in miscellaneous. This is my extra buffer time in case anything I don't get done, I can finish at the end of the day. Tip number 7 is to eliminate distractions. And this is an amazing tip whether you're time boxing or not. You want to set yourself up for success by avoiding anything that could distract you from the task at hand. So turn off email, turn off your phone, turn off social media. If you're working in Slack, set your status to busy. Remember, you have buffer time and you have break times that you can check Slack or check your phone in between. You don't want to let that distract you when you're sitting down to actually work on the task.
Tip number 8 is to set an alarm. Now, a trap a lot of people fall into is that they spend all this time planning out their day, time boxing all their tasks in their calendar, and then they get sucked into a specific task, and that just eats up way too much time. One of the things you might be doing is starting your day reading your emails, and maybe you've budgeted an hour for that, but you might quickly suck up 2 or 3 hours in your inbox, as often happens, without even realizing it. So setting these alarms is a great tactic to give you that mental cue to reevaluate what you're working on and making sure that you're sticking to your schedule. There might be the opportunity where the thing you are working on is maybe the most important thing and you want to continue working on that. Well, you have that buffer time at the end of the day to either reschedule all of your stuff into it or to just come back to this thing later on during the day. So setting the alarm is just that cue to force yourself to evaluate, is what I'm working on right now worth extending out into my other tasks, or should I just stop this and move on?
So let's look how to do this in your calendar, because you don't want to be relying on your phone to set a billion of reminders in the day. So when you're scheduling your appointments, I'm going to show you how to do this in Daylite because that's the calendar I use. You can also do this in your Google Calendar or your Apple Calendar. As you're scheduling the appointments, I set myself a 15-minute reminder before the appointment starts. And one of the things I love about using Daylite is that I don't actually have to manually set this for each appointment, because I set a default that anytime I create an appointment, it gives me a reminder 15 minutes before.
Tip 9 is to adjust to what actually happened. And what we mean by this is that as you're going throughout your day, you should be adjusting your schedule so that it matches perfectly with what actually happened throughout your day.
So let's go back to our calendar. Maybe I scheduled 2 hours for this blog post, but it actually took me 3 hours, and I kept on working it because it was my top priority, so I just adjusted everything below, and then I had a little bit of buffer time that I needed to still check email. You want to have your calendar reflecting what actually happened in the day.
Tip number 10 is to color code your calendar. And what you want to do here is make sure that every type of task that you're working on has a specific color. So when you look at your calendar, each block should be colored for the type of task you're working on. This is going to make it really easy to go back later and look at your calendar and see where you're spending most of your time. This is going to be really important, and we're going to get into why in our last tip.
For example, checking email is gray, marketing is green, anything accounting or finance is maybe blue, and maybe you have a different color for client work or doing client follow-ups. Just makes it easier to digest your calendar visually and looking back historically.
Tip 11 is to try this for a week. Now that you've been practicing time boxing once a week for a few weeks, it's time to start time boxing an entire week. And similar to how we were suggesting just start off slow, you want to start off slow time boxing a full week. You want to sit down when you're planning out your week and just make sure you get your most important things set up on your calendar. And then as you go throughout the week in the morning or the night before, you can fill in the gaps with other things you know you have to do. This helps make sure that you're not over planning your week and potentially setting yourself up for failure. And don't forget all the tips that we've covered, especially the one of adding some buffer time at the end of each day. That will help you deal with any unknowns or anything that takes longer as you're going throughout your week.
So I'm going to start my week by blocking off a couple of the really high priority tasks in my week. Again, I'm going to use those tips of making sure I'm using my most productive time of the day, and then plot in a couple of little more. Now, I'm not going to go overboard and plan the entire week, but then as I get closer to my day, either the night before or morning of, then I'll time block my full day.
Tip 12 is to review and assess. Now that you've been time boxing for a few weeks and you've made sure that your schedules are actually aligned with reality, you have some really great data to go back and review and assess. You want to go and look for areas for improvement. You want to find those tasks that you spend a lot of time on, those ones that are time sucks that are also maybe not giving you a high return on that time investment. Those are the things you want to get off your schedule so that you can spend more of your time on the more impactful things. You want to do things like delegate those tasks away. Look at ways of automating them. Maybe just put them on your stop doing list. We did a video on top time management strategies. We'll link it right up here. We have some really great tips and tricks in there to help you get things off your schedule. So remember to always review and assess so that you can constantly improve this process.
So let's look back at the last 2 weeks of my calendar in Daylite. I can see that most of my time is spent writing YouTube scripts, blog posts, filming for YouTube, which is great. This is where I want to be spending most of my time. A great thing I learned from time boxing is that it actually takes me about 3 hours to prepare for certain meetings like all hands, which now helps me prepare my week. If I know that I have an all hands coming up, I know that I need to allocate at least 3 hours to work on that presentation, which forces me to get really good at prioritizing the other things in my week and knowing what to say no to.
Thanks for watching the video today, guys. We hope that you enjoyed these 12 tips that will help you master time boxing. Remember, stick with it. It takes some practice, it takes some getting used to, but once you are good at it, you're really going to love the benefits you get out of time boxing. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and hit that little notification bell so you never miss any future videos.
And be sure to check out the description where we'll include a link to the other video we mentioned, as well as Daniel Pink's book, When, which will help you identify your most productive time of the day to set yourself up for success. And let us know in the comments, are you more of an early bird or a night owl? If you need help managing your tasks, clients, projects, calendars, everything that comes with running a small business, make sure you check out Daylite. We'll include a link in the description where you can start your own free trial. And make sure to hit us up on all the social channels where we love sharing more tips for helping you take your small business to the next level.